The Lord be with you.
and with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke.
Glory to you, Lord.
Jesus said to his disciples, "When you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, you must realize that she will soon be laid desolate. Then those in Judea must escape to the mountains. Those inside the city must leave it, and those in country districts must not take refuge in it. For this is the time of vengeance, when all that Scripture says must be fulfilled. Alas for those with child or with babies at the breast when those days come. For great misery will descend on the land and wrath on these people. They will fall by the edge of the sword and be led captive to every pagan country. And Jerusalem will be trampled down by the pagans until the age of the pagans is completely over. There will be signs in the sun and moon and stars. On earth, nation in agony, bewildered by the clamor of the ocean and its waves. Men dying of fear as they await what menaces the world, for the powers of heaven will be shaken. And then they will see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. When these things begin to take place, stand erect, hold your heads high, because your liberation is near at hand." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
When these things begin to happen, stand erect, hold your heads high. Stand erect, hold your heads high. Yesterday, I went through a complex experience that made me to think, and I thought it was also so related to this gospel of today. Late in the afternoon, just after lunch, my sister called me that she was in labor. And I got into a kind of anxiety because she was really trying to reach me to make sure that I was there all the time. And finally, at about 4 o'clock, after the Divine Mercy, then the child came out, beautiful baby boy called Terry. And she sent me a photo, and I looked at this child and said, "This is a champion." And I will tell you why I called him a champion. This is a hero, and all of us are heroes, all of us are champions, and the life has just started. So on the one hand, we have the beginning of life, and then about 2 hours, 30 minutes after, all of us went to the house of Escalona for the Requiem Mass, the Mass of the Dead. So on the other hand, we find life coming to an end, life beginning, and in 2 hours' time, we are also celebrating life. Life has come to an end. And I just thought that I am somewhere in the middle. I'm not at the beginning, I'm not at the end. I'm somewhere in the middle. And I want to tell you why I called him a champion. Yesterday also, later on in the evening, I was watching a famous marathon runner in Kenya who's called Samuel Kamau. He made a lot of history, he broke a lot of records, and he was stinkingly rich. But he died some time ago, about 10 years ago, and he died carelessly from drinking. He just got into alcohol and was drinking, and stories have it that he fell from the second floor of his building and then he broke his head. And people just thought, what a waste of life. What a waste of life. That he got all the privileges, he got all the names that you could ever think of, but he carelessly came to an end. A champion who decided to be careless with his life. And I thought about this championship, and I thought about a book that I read when I was in basic formation many years ago. And this writer said all of us are champions when we are born. By the fact that we make it to this life, we are champions because we won the greatest race ever. And that is why I called my little nephew a champion. Why? Because at conception, or before conception, millions or even trillions of sperm cells are released. And only one can fertilize the egg. Only one of them. So if there was in that race another sperm that went to fertilize the egg and not my own, I wouldn't have been alive. And the same thing for each and every one of us. We could be different people if we were not the first in that race of millions. If we were not the first, then we will be other people. So the fact that we made it there, the fact that we are alive today is because we are champions. We were able to defeat all the other millions, and we made it. And that is why we are alive today. And that is why I'm Tony, and you are Matt, and you're Simon. All of us are so different, and there are possibilities, a million possibilities of the same person, of different people. And we are therefore given a privilege. Other people could be given the chance that you have today. Millions of people could be given a chance of the chance you have been given today, that we are alive. And we have this time from the time we are born to the time we die to make use of this privilege and this opportunity God has given to us. Uncommon favor is something that we can, if we try to imagine it, we just realize the privilege and the blessing that we have been given, which is peculiar to each and every one of us. And Jesus says today in the gospel, therefore, you must stand erect, you must hold your heads high, you must not sleep, you must make use of this chance you have been given. Do not take it for granted. Do not say, oh, I am alive, therefore it's fine. No, we don't take this for granted because it's a special privilege that each and every one of us has been given. And therefore we must work hard, we must make use of it. We must have it in mind that there are many other people who would have been us, but they are not, because we are so blessed and privileged to be who we are. And therefore Jesus prophesies about Jerusalem, and it comes to fulfillment. He says Jerusalem will be destroyed, and of course in the year 70 AD it was. And later on he also prophesied about his coming. And he says when the time comes, when you see the signs, you must stand erect. You must hold your heads high. In other words, we must be ready. We must do all what it takes to make use of the opportunity and the chance that we have been given from the time we are born until the time we die. And in the end, he says, because not your condemnation, not the punishment, but your liberation is at hand. Hold your heads high, stand erect, because your liberation, not your punishment, not your condemnation, your liberation is at hand. My dear brothers and sisters, it is important that whenever we go ahead in life, we must think behind. We must look back again and say, what a privilege each of us have been given. And we must make use of this by standing erect, by holding our heads high, by making use of the championship that we ourselves have received.